We're going to bring in Teddy here from Collate to talk about some recent updates that are coming to Collate and coming to Open Metadata that will improve the data quality tests that we have available and improve some of the performance aspects of Open Metadata as well. So Teddy, please come in. Feel free to start sharing your screen. Looking forward to hearing from you as well.
All right, awesome. Thanks, Nick, for this introduction. So let me share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Well, hello everyone. So for those of you that are just joining today, so I'm Teddy. I've been with Collate for over 3 years now, and I focus mainly on the data quality part of the platform, so data quality and observability. And as Nick mentioned, so today we wanted to share with you some of the exciting new features that are coming up in 1.9. And so basically to kind of guide us into this 1.9 release, we met with different customers, different users from different background, technical or non-technical. And what we've seen users sharing with us again and again and again, and our experience throughout these years developing observability and data quality at Collate, is that there is a real trust issue in terms of the data quality, right? Can I really use this data when I'm making this decision? And then this lack of trust and this difficulty in trusting my data quality, it has a real cost and a real impact into for organization, right? Making bad decision can lead to real economic cost. We actually have like an amazing case study from Mango that's available on our website, where they are actually discussing exactly about this topic. And then on top of that, what we are seeing is that you have more and more data, and the size of the data inside organization is growing. So it's not just a matter of solving that data quality and that data observability problem. It's solving it at scale inside enterprise organization. And from this three element, what came out is 3 main pain points that we have identified, right? The first one being around limited resources, right? And having that team, that centralized team that is responsible for managing a critical component of the organization, and kind of creating a resource bottleneck inside the organization. And on top of that, we see that these teams have to deal with more and more complex data set and larger data set inside the organization. And that makes a small group inside of the organization responsible for the data quality process, for the data observability process, inside your organization. And from these 3 pain points that we have identified throughout the years working on this problematic, through talking with customers, talking with users, we basically decided that 1.9 should be a release that will lay the foundation for the observability part of Collate to answer and solve those pain points, right? And fundamentally transform how those elements are addressed in the market, right? So for this release, we oriented our development around three main elements, right? The first one being giving an answer to organization to do profiling and do data quality at scale, right? The second one being transforming the user experience that you see inside the platform, so that user experience is natural for any type of users, right? Not just technical users, but also non-technical users. And if you've been here through the past few Collate and Open Metadata Meetup, you'll see that that is a trend that we are focusing, right? With UI customization, refront of the UI, and now that effort is coming to the data quality and data observability side of the tool as well. And then the third one is providing you with an AI agent planner to basically automate the expertise inside your organization, right? So leveraging new technologies that have been available in the market and layering it on top of the knowledge graph that we have available inside Collate to then, expand that expertise inside your organization and allow people inside companies to then participate in the data quality effort. So let's go over all of those three pillars one by one, right? And we'll also have some little break with some demos so that we have a flow change. So for the first one, as I mentioned, so we have made available inside Collate for our Collate users in the 1.9 release, a Spark integration, right? So as a Collate user, you'll then be able to leverage your existing Spark cluster, integrate it with the Collate platform, so that you can now process the profiling and data quality data directly inside your Spark cluster, right? And that approach is in line with what we have done through the year. By leveraging your Spark cluster, we basically are respecting your data privacy, ensuring that your data never actually leave your infrastructure, and that only aggregated results are then fed back to Collate, right? And what we're trying to achieve here is giving you the opportunity to achieve scalability across all of your services inside the infrastructure, right? So when we look at what performance results improvement we've seen during our testing, and keep in mind that's using the smallest compute engine available inside AWS, right? So what we've seen using a MySQL database, right? Profiling the entire table for a table that has about 60 million rows using the built-in standard OpenMetadata /Collate profiling engine that will delegate the computation to the service itself. We saw that it took about 4 hours to profile that entire table in MySQL, right? We also use it against a smaller size MySQL cluster there. And when we are leveraging the Spark integration, we're bringing that profiling time down to 8 minutes, right? So you can see like a very, very significant improvement in terms of time that it takes to execute profiling and observability at scale there. When it comes to the next step, in 1.9, what we are going to ship, and that's going to be throughout 1.9 minor release, is going to add the integration for Postgres, add the integration for data lake, because that's a real bottleneck. How do I leverage a strong compute engine to profile and run data quality against my data lake table? So it can be like regular CSV file or whatnot. And then we'll be adding support for data quality as well. Right. So that's the first pillar that we are going to address in 1.9. Now, when it comes to the second pillar, the second pillar was to give you open metadata users and Collate user a better experience when it comes to navigating the platform, right? And through different user interviews, so technical and non-technical, we basically identify 4 main pain points that users shared with us when it comes to navigating data quality tools in general, but also navigating open metadata, open metadata data quality functionality, right? So what we kept in mind in terms of principle when addressing the UI redesign was to make sure that the right action for a user is obvious, right? And obvious just not for a technical user that's used to navigating complex tools that are a bit more technical, but for any type of users, right? Then the second point was to make sure that we are showing progress to you, right? Not just snapshot of how is my data doing today, but showing you progress. How is my data quality evolving throughout time, right? And then we wanted to bring familiar patterns, right? Patterns that you are used to with other tools that you love, but also patterns that you are used to when you are navigating Collate and open metadata, right? And then the final point was to really make sure we highlighted what matters in the tool, right? Now, what does this look like in 1.9? So let me navigate to my other screen, right? And we'll go through a typical flow that a data quality user may have seen in 1.8 and how is that transformed in 1.9, right? So here I have two tabs. This tab on the right here is the version 1.8. So that will be the version that you're currently the latest stable version. And then here I'm in sandbox beta and I have the latest version available, right? So whenever I want to add a data quality test, I will first need to navigate to the table itself, right? And when navigating to the table, I will be landing on this specific tab, right? So I will then need to navigate to the data observability tab. And then from this tab, I will be able to select, do I want to add a table or column level test, right? And so that's the first hurdle that we've seen and that users have shared with us, right? Is if I select a table level test, but then want to actually implement a column level test, then what do I do, right? I then need to navigate back to the table and then select the other option, right? So that's the first hurdle that user shared with us, right? And then another thing that we've heard is that when I'm implementing my data quality test through this experience, I'm leaving the context of the table and I'm now focused inside a separate window, right? So here I can simply select the table. I can enter the information that I want. I can add tags, add glossary. And then once I click create, then I'm going to create the test case is going to be created. And then the next button, the next step that I see is to bring me back to my test suite, right? And here it's fair to assume that, as a user, I have set up my data quality test and then everything should run as expected, right? But that is not the case, right? The expectation is for you to add a pipeline that will then add a schedule. And then at that time, the data quality test will run, right? So you can see that experience, you are brought into a separate screen. Then you have to click one button to then click another button to be redirected to your data quality test, then navigate to a different tab, click a button to then generate your pipeline, right? So what we've seen is lots of click, different screen were brought out of context, right? So we wanted to resolve that experience by introducing something more natural as a user that will leverage some pattern that you may see inside other tool, right? So in the latest version, when I want to add a data quality test, I'll still be able to select, do I want a column or a table level test, right? But then instead of being brought out of context into a deeper screen, I will now have a two quarter pan, let's call it a two quarter pan. That will now allow me to have a single view of all the actions that I can take, right? And I can easily switch between table level or column level tests, right? I still have the ability to enter name, description, add the tag, add the glossary, and then I'll be able to select my my test type similarly to what I had before, right? But where it is different is that now, as a user, if there is no pipeline that is set for my data quality test, I will be warned that I must actually link and generate a pipeline, and I'll have that ability to create that pipeline directly on that screen, right? And we can select on demand, and then from there we can click create, and then in a single click, one screen, we now have generated our data quality test, right? So that is the first experience that we have changed inside Collate. Now, the second experience, when you are navigating to the data quality tab, here for Collate user, you'll be presented with a summary screen. For OpenMetadata user, generally you will have the by table screen that will show up, right? And here you can see vertical navigation and some information about my test by table, by test case, or by test suite, right? What we've heard is the concept of test suite wasn't clear. What's the difference between the by test suite and by table, right? And it's really just a logical grouping of information, right? Another point that we've heard is if I want to add a data quality test from that screen, I'm unable to do it, right? I have to navigate back to my table, add that data quality test, and go through that extensive process that we have seen, right? In the version 1.9, if you're navigating to the observability table, you will have a redefined summary section for Collate user, right? With clearer information, clearer grouping, more separation of metrics, so that you have access to the information that is the most relevant quickly, and that you can clearly see that information. Now you see we move to a horizontal navigation, replicating the experience that you are seeing inside entity resources, right? And now if you are looking at a test case quality, right, we'll explicitly say, hey, this data quality test is failing, right? Previously, we had little red square, little green square that sometimes created some confusion for non-technical user. And now what you will see at the top is the ability to add a data quality test directly from that screen, right? You'll have a similar experience to what we went through, but the only difference is that you'll have the ability to actually select which table you want to add that data quality test to, right? So you won't have to navigate back to your table, go through that extensive process. You can stay within the context of your data, right? And then the other elements that we introduce is grouping together the table and what is a bundle test suite, right? A bundle test suite is just a grouping of different data quality tests, right? So now when you're navigating to that test suite view, you'll be able to view your table suite or your bundle suite as you've seen them before, so that you have that information that is related, that is close together, right? And similarly to what you've had in the previous version, you'll have the ability to add data quality, create new bundle test suite, and add data quality test directly to this bundle test suite directly from that screen, right? Similar experience where you are not leaving the context of your data quality, right? All right, awesome. So that is it for our second pillar, right? So what we've seen so far, first pillar is integrating Spark with Collate so that you can then do data observability at scale for all of your services, right? Now it's not just a matter that I can profile my Snowflake or only my BigQuery table at scales because I'm leveraging their compute engine, but now you can do it with whatever services you have inside your organization. Second pillar that we've introduced is that new user experience, so that it's more natural and easier for your users to to navigate the data quality user interface. Now, the third pillar that we are introducing, where we're laying the foundation to, is bringing intelligence to the data quality aspect of the platform, right? So we're starting today with our data quality planner agent, which is basically an integrated agent within Collate, right? That will leverage the entire knowledge graph of the platform, right? And bringing basically context-aware information so that when it generates data quality test, it has all the different elements related to your entity that will basically allow it to generate data quality tests, right? And our idea is that we don't want to be, what we want to do, is like democratize the expertise, right? You shouldn't have to be an expert in your domain or a technical person to be able to add data quality tests, right? Data quality tests and that journey should be a shared responsibility inside your organization for technical and non-technical users, right? And so how is that going to translate? Sorry, we have a small demo as well. Basically, you'll have the integrated chat experience inside Collate, and I believe we may have some more sharing session about that aspect later on. And you'll still also have the ability to run that agent as a scheduled background agent, right? So today we have the set of APIs that we are going to showcase. So if I'm navigating to, so here I have Collate platform running locally. And so I see I have two tables, so my team customer table and my team staff table, right? They both have tier 5 and tier 1, and they have no data quality tests that are associated with them. And then we can navigate to the explore page, filter on tier 1 and tier 5, and then we can confirm that we indeed just have those two tables that have that information, right? Perfect. So now what I can do, right? We have set up our agent integration that is going to talk with an LLM provider. And here what we're introducing is the ability for you to, if you have your own LLM provider that is set up inside your organization with your own API key and whatnot, is the ability for you to bring that API key directly inside Collate so that whenever an agent interacts with an LLM, it's the LLM that your organization has vetted, has some security and privacy contract in place, right? So that is very important for us. And of course, we can also provide our own LLM for anyone that do not have any contract in place. So here we're just going to ask it to generate some data quality test for a table inside, my entity that is a database, and basically the database is e-commerce DB, right? And we can see that those two tables, they belong to the e-commerce DB, right? And we want to do it only for tier 1 and tier 5 table, right? So now I'm going to run it, and we're going to pray the God of demo that everything goes as expected. But basically, it will send a request. So here, for example, we know that there is a failure. It is going to tell us, hey, I was unable to do that because I couldn't validate that information or that information, right? And that is okay because we can simply run it, rerun it, and then, it's not going through the process, explaining to us at each step what it's doing, right? So for example, in that case, we see that it's fetching the entities and that now it's, creating some data quality tests for this and this entity, right? And so we let it think through, generate whatever data quality test it deems important based on the context that we have passed inside the information. Now our call has completed. right? We can go check the message, and in the message, we see that we have created 10 data quality tests for 2 entities, right? The 2 entities that have tier 1 and tier 2. Now we can go back to our table and validate that our agent has actually generated our data quality test. And now we can see that we have data quality tests that are now added and available inside the platform, right? And what is interesting with the integrated agent is that it has full context of the entity that you are generating data quality for, right? You can see the names are actually relevant names, right? They are not just IDs that are passed, right? And we can see that, for example, it understood, okay, I have an email field, so I want to make sure that, the pattern of that field respect what should be an email address, right? And so we can explore like this, the different type of data quality tests that it generated. For example, it understands that, well, I have, a specific table that has some updated time field, so I need to check for data quality freshness, right? And similarly, it decided to do some null check uniqueness based on data constraint, and also data value lengths to be between, and it understands some information that should be set and the parameters that should be set for this data quality test, right? So that is the third pillar and the foundation that we are laying to bring that data quality test, that data quality experience inside Collate to the next level, right? So that's it for me, and I will pass it back to Nick. Yeah.